Hi, this is Sophia, and I'm going to do the last episode 3 of this series, Living Inside Out. The series was put together from people asking, especially on social media, how to live through this very chaotic and stressful time, knowing everything that's going on outside in the world, and how can you still feel good inside, despite what is happening. So that is why I put this series together. I will be putting out over the next 2 weeks a written interactive portion to this series for the paid members. And if you just want to pay for go to Substack and become a paid member, then you will have access to the written information, and also you can send messages to me and I can give you feedback or extra resources as you wish and have a more one-on-one experience that way. For today, let's get going. This is going to be for representing most of the or representing information mostly from chapter 4 through the last chapter, chapter 10. And what we were talking about before is really taking in our frequency, identifying our frequency, knowing our own personal frequency. And then when outside sources come to knock us off of our frequency, we hold our space. And we know from the previous chapters that we can be in the eye of the storm when crazy things are going on. We just kind of visualize ourselves in the middle of the whirlwind and let things happen around us. But our space is nice and chill and to our preference, right? And we do something every day to make our life more and more to our preference, despite what outside sources want us to be, because we are little fireflies. We are not moths. We don't go outside of ourselves for our light. We create our light. Our light comes up through us and out into the world. And so here we find ourselves at chapter 4. Um, and that is when we start to now we know our frequency, and then we are going to clear our frequency. How much do you clear your frequency? It depends on how much you come into contact with things outside of your preference. And if you're an empath, you may have to do it a little bit more because you're feeling your feelings and you are really in tune with the feelings of everyone around you. So you may need to do it a little bit more often. I personally have a visual that I use where I picture a bubble around me, a mirrored bubble where the mirror goes outside and it's kind of like Glenda's bubble on the inside. That's just my visual. You can do whatever you want with it. The mirror is to bounce off everybody else's frequencies and keep mine in the middle. And I say, clear. And I clear out everybody else's stuff, all the other stuff that is not mine, and I say, clear, and blow it away. You can kind of feel like all that noise go away. And how many times you need to do that is up to you. I've kind of set it up in my mind where I almost do it automatically most of the day. I just don't even have to think about it anymore, except for in different situations that are more extreme. But for most part, I just feel clear for most of the day. But at first, you'll have to think about it, and then eventually it will just kind of be something you just feel like, okay, I'm clear, right? So that, and then once you are clear and you understand your frequency, we there's other videos about this, and I'm not going to do it all here, but on YouTube and all these kind of places, there's plenty of content about the quantum field and how our energy interacts and weaves into the quantum field. And there's a lot of people that do a lot of really good work with that. So I don't think I'm going to be covering it anytime soon, maybe later on. But just look quantum field manifestation on YouTube and you'll find a lot of resources. But that's kind of what we do. Once we know our frequency, we've cleared our frequency, we know what our preferences are, and then we start to weave our frequency into the quantum field around us. And then we start to see that our life has more of our preferences weaved into it than things that are not of our preference. Okay. And that's like a lot of work that you can do over time. And in my written class, if you want me to send you more information about that, or if you want me to go into it deeper with you, I can do that. Um, because what we want to get to is, so we've created our inside world, our inside frequency, and then now we are bringing it out into the world. So, how do you bring your internal preferences, frequencies, and peace out into the world? One really useful method I used, especially when I was in a moment of the out outside world really not giving me much of my preference at all, is you could do one of you can do this in a couple different ways. What I was doing at the time was writing a journal of just things that I was doing in my day, in what you would call the real world, quote unquote. The real world, yes. So my real journal, right? And then but because that was such an unhappy place, especially at the time that I was doing this exercise and came up with it, I created something called a fantasy journal, but you call it dream, not, well, it's not your dreams. So I call it a fantasy journal, but you can decide what you want to call it, kind of a parallel universe journal, right? And so what you want to do in that journal is to write down, instead of what actually happened that day, write what the day exactly like you would have wanted it to be. And but it's not just writing down like a Santa's wish list or whatever of what you want. It's also writing it while believing it's true and feeling all the feelings as if that is what your day actually was. And I did that, and I noticed, I think it was about a month into it, into the exercise of doing that. Every night I would write down, after I wrote down what happened, I would write down how I wanted my day to be, how I wished it went. But I wrote it like it really went that way, and I really felt the feelings, call it pretend from being a kid or whatever, but and I and you have to believe it and feel it and write it down, or use whatever. It's not, typing it into a computer isn't the same thing. You have to write it or be a part of it, because you have to feel the doing and the saying and the being and the action. You have to feel it and you have to put it on the page, right? When you do that, it's amazing. So again, sorry to kind of go off a little bit, but so then I noticed that my real life journal and my fantasy journal started to overlap. Like it started to happen in the real world, and I was like, wow, I had quite a few days, and I still am now having days, and I look back and I'm like, if I wanted, this would be my fantasy journal, So my fantasy journal and my real life journal is overlapping more and more every day, and I hope as the practice goes on, it'll be more fantasy journal, and I only have to write one journal, and it'll be my real life. So I'm still working on that, but it happens more over time. So I would love to hear people who try this exercise, how they found that it worked in their life. Because I bet you it will. I bet you it will. Okay, so the thing is, what the whole reason for doing this fantasy exercise, it really does have a purpose. And what it is that we cannot just say, I don't want to be a certain way, or I don't want the world to be a certain way, or I don't want this, right? Because what happens is, if we don't have another answer in our brain, we'll just go back to our default. Let me show you an example. Like if I just want to say, um, I don't want to eat a lot of sugar because we just got through like the holiday season, whatever. That's something a lot of people can get on board with. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to eat a lot of sugar, so I'll not put sugar in my house first of all, otherwise I will eat it. So take away the temptation. But then I'll put, like, every time I want to eat sugar, I will eat, you know, some protein, or I'll have like some nuts, or I will have something that is more healthy for, for me. And I will have those around, I'll have them easily accessible, but also I'll have an answer. So when I go in, I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry. I'm just gonna grab something. What should I grab? It's like, oh, I'll grab popcorn. You know, popcorn isn't as sugary, right? So then the answer is in there. So the whole idea is you can't just say what you don't want. You have to say what you do want. What is the answer? What's the new thing that you're going to do instead? You know, because otherwise you'll leave a default answer, and when you're tired or stressed or whatever, you'll just go to your default, and then you're not getting out of the pattern or reality that you want to get into. So if it's like, oh, I just saw some crappy stuff on the news, now I'm going to listen to some uplifting music or do a workout or donate to my food pantry or go volunteer or go to a protest or whatever it is to get the feeling out like I did something. And I'm like, oh, I want to feel uplifted. This is how I uplift myself. So have the things ready in your mind and also available, like, oh, here's, some new music I wanted to listen to, or here's something I wanted to do, so that it's like right there, and then you'll do it. And then you'll feel better. And that's how you feel better. Moving your body around, really, again, in whatever preference you like. If you like, you know, yoga, or if you like Tai Chi, or if you like just moving around like a weirdo around your house, that's what I do, to some uplifting music, or you want to do like a whole full gym workout, whatever is your deal, because it needs to align with you and be you, like your most authentic version of you, and like what you want to do, not what you know the influencer down the street wants you to do, or any of that. It's not that. It's like, who are you, what do you want, and how do you put your internal peace and well-being and pull it out into this world. And that's what living from the inside out is. So you want to live authentically, you want to do the work, you want to do physical motion, make decisions, and do everything you can to like create this fantasy inside, and then see, maybe I can't do exactly what my fantasy life is, but I could do something similar to it. Like I can, I don't know, whatever it is. Let me see. Maybe I can't afford to go to the most expensive restaurant and get the most expensive meal today, but I could go to my grocery store and I can get a little piece of steak, and I can get something, and I can get close to it, and I can make it at home, and then that reality is as close as I could get to the steakhouse dinner reality. So I'm still like bringing some of it into my life until I can bring all of it into my life. That's just kind of like a weird example, but it's an example. Maybe you can't get to your total, like I can't go to the Super Bowl because it's like $1 bazillion and only corporations can go, whatever. But I can, put together a little Super Bowl shindig and feel like I'm there, like everybody else. So, I mean, just as an example, I don't know. So just bring as close as you can to your reality until your fantasy is your reality. And it happens over time. And let's see what else I have in my notes here. Yeah, perfect. So that's a lot of it. And then in the book, I just start to like wrap everything up. So, I mean, short story long story short, when you don't want the world to drive you nuts, you create your world. Obviously react to your world as you need to, give the appropriate responses, to like what you have to do that day, and what people are require of you, your obligations, that kind of thing, but put pieces of yourself in it, like, and then balance it out with something good. Like if I make myself a cup of coffee, that's a little bit something good. If I read an article from my favorite person, or I listen to YouTube, my favorite, content creators or whatever. So I'm bringing some happiness because the world is draining me outside, with the realities and stuff that aren't of my preference. And then I also do some work, to push back on the things that I don't like and let them know that. So I take what they want me to feel, and then I give that to the person who should hold it for me. Plus interest is what I call it. So do something, because when you do something, you feel better. It's when you feel hopeless and when you take it all in and you hold things that are not yours to hold, that's when you start to feel bad, and that's when things get out of balance. So that's series 3, part 3, or episode 3 of our Living Inside Out series. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found value in it. Please feel free to message me or contact me or become a subscriber, and you will get the written information and the interactive portion of this series course. So thank you, and it's been a pleasure, and I will see y'all next time. Bye bye. Thanks.